All right. Welcome. Here we are, right, for another good session of your story today. Now, we've been doing your story today for a while, and we've always been having fun. We've always been having these sessions where we meet different authors, we meet different people, we listen to what they have, their stories. I had kind of forgotten where we came from with this, and where this all started was we started this as a very interesting session of reviewing stories and reviewing books and talking to authors. So I thought about it and I thought, you know what, it's a good time for us to revisit our roots and just talk to an author and talk to their stories and listen to what they have, where they've come from, and how they've grown. So tonight, I have a very interesting lady for you. I guess if you are anywhere on my wall or on Writers Guild walls, you know this lady very well. Her name is Munira Hussein. Munira Hussein is a very interesting character, and I know she'll get nervous by this introduction. But don't worry, I know all of you got her. Munira is the author of two books. She is the author of Unfit for Society, and she's also the author of A Curve of Darkness. So I will not tell you anything about any of those two books. I have read them, I have enjoyed them, but I'll leave the burden or the fun of telling you about the books to her. Munira is also a very passionate lady. She's very passionate about women empowerment. She's very passionate about career growth. She's very passionate about the minorities, and because she comes from one of them, so she'll also tell us where she comes from. And then there's this joke that I crack about everyone. I don't know how she like it. But then she comes from the north, so they come down to pick education, then go north to develop it. Like we come east to pick education, then go west to develop it. I come from Western Kenya. We drink tea, and that is why even on this show, from start to end, I will be drinking my tea. Anyway, so welcome on. Let's welcome Munira on the screen, and we are just going to have fun a bit. Ask her about how she's doing, and then we'll get into the meat of it. If you have any questions, any comments, any compliments for our guest and for myself, or for Writers Guild as a whole, check your comments. You can inbox Writers Guild Kenya. You can put it in the comment box, or you can send me an inbox. I will make you famous. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into it and welcome Her Excellency. I've called you Your Excellency, so please don't let me down on that title. Her Excellency.
I will try Excellency. Hi, Douglas.
Hi, how are you?
I am fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. A quick question though. I'm putting on blue and you're putting on blue. Hizi ndio wanaitanga vitenge?
I didn't see that coming. I was about to say something about the universe and, coincidence, but we could say kitenge too.
And the universe is blue, so okay, is the universe blue? Or am I using stories?
The sky is blue. I don't know about the universe. I think it's colorful.
The universe is colorful. Okay, that's a very good twist to it, because then I was going to say the ocean looks like it's blue, but people tell me it's colorless, and I don't even know what's going on.
It is? I also thought it's blue.
Okay. We understand.
Yeah.
Somebody told me today that the ocean is actually colorless and that it picks the color of, the sky, which is blue. I don't know whether the sky is actually blue like the ocean. I'm confused.
Or the sky picks the color of the ocean.
Okay.
Can it?
Okay. So which picks which color? So does the sky pick the color of the ocean, or does the ocean pick the color of the sky?
It's just something about the ocean and the sky and colors. We really don't know.
and our shirts. So
yes.
They kind of have this interesting meeting.
Maybe my shirt is not even blue. It's a reflection of your shirt, or your shirt is reflecting. We don't know. We really don't know.
No. I refuse to be confused. My shirt and your shirt is a reflection of which shirt?
Just shirts.
So much confusing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
How have you been? How is COVID taking you? Whether COVID is around or not, we really don't want to get into that. But then how is the whole situation coming along with you?
At first, it was really sticky because, there was all this fear and anxiety. But now I'm just like, it's been here for a while now. We're buddies. We're like, we just avoid each other and try to keep, or at least I try to keep away from it. So I'm hoping it's also keeping off.
Yeah. As somebody said, we
Yeah.
stay home and leave those who are looting to loot while staying outside. It's a game. It's a game. It's a game.
Yeah. They tell us to stay indoors and then they go outdoors and loot whatever is there. So we
We
should
I
also go
think
out. I think we should go outside
we,
and see what's there.
maybe we should tell Kenyans to go outside in mass and okay. I hope no one hears this. But then Kenyans really need to do something.
Yes, they
Otherwise,
do.
I could be picked from my
We
house
we
tonight.
do.
Huh?
We not the, we need to do something. But politics and
It ties really well into what we are going to talk about tonight. But then let's first of all go very very slow with
yes,
it, and first
yeah.
of all know you, because a lot of people who are on my wall or who are on Writers Guild walls might know you, but
hmm
somebody might ask this normal question: Who is Munira? It's a good place to start, right?
Yeah. I think that's actually probably the right place to start. So,
Yes.
who is Munira? Who is she really? I have. I mean, I find that question such a broad thing to answer, but I'm just gonna start with, where I was born. I was born in Marsabit. Marsabit is also in now Marsabit County, but Marsabit before it was a county was just Marsabit.
Mm.
So does that even make sense? But yeah, I was born and raised in Marsabit. I went to high school in Meru, and then I went to study microbiology at Kenyatta University. I would say I did actually study, although I don't know to what end, because somewhere along the way I became a writer. No, okay, I have always been a writer. I just picked it up and decided, you know what, I'm running with this. So then I became this writer from the north, and now I'm writing northern stories.
Okay, I like that one. A writer
Yeah.
from the north writing northern stories.
Mm,
I'm still waiting to read a certain story from you, and somebody told me
okay.
to ask you for this story. You have to write us a poem about a camel.
Okay. Now?
And this story, no, not now, not now, not
Oh,
now. We're looking
okay.
out for it. This story
uh,
must, it should, it's a poem, it's a poem. It should have a
yeah.
camel, a lady, and love, and then it should have me in it.
Mhm. You,
Can we fit me in a story of a camel?
because you guys are equally tall, I think it would be, I mean, a perfect fit.
All right, all right. Thank you very
Mhm.
much, Munira. For my viewers, so I've taken Munira to the background a bit so that she has to have the same shade of blue like me. So welcome very much. That was the introduction to the great Munira Hussein. And when we come back, we are going to go deep into Munira Hussein's books. Now, the reason why I have decided to take Munira into the back for a minute is because of a very, very, very interesting story that I want to tell you about. It's showing on your screen right about now. Now, Writers Guild Kenya, who are hosting us today, are hosting a writing class. And this is a writing class dubbed Write Your Passion. So I decided to take Munira to the background so that I can tell you about Write Your Passion. If you have not registered for Write Your Passion and you want to write amazing books like Munira is going to take us through her books, and like you are going to review and read through her books, dial that number on your screen, go to Writers Guild Kenya, hashtag we are writing today, of course, also hashtag Douglas is handsome. We are going to revisit that. Anyways, let's bring back Munira, and I don't know whether she will agree with the fact that Douglas is handsome or not. Um, you have to agree, Douglas is handsome.
I will neither confirm or deny that statement. I
Because you
mean,
will be in trouble.
yeah. So I just needed, it's. I think it's sort of now natural to show your background and make it about books. So I decided, you know what? Let's spice this up.
What?
Yeah,
Douglas doesn't
sorry,
have books.
but you can have a flask of tea behind you. It's fine. We'll understand.
I love your thinking. I love the way you're thinking.
Hmm.
We can do something like, this? Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, so Munira Hussein, you've written two books, and when when you meet an author that has written two books, sometimes you can get lost in one and lose yourself in one so much. So I want to really try and be systematic about this. Your first book is Unfit for Society. It's not
Yes.
really your first book because you had a poem in this writer's book before Unfit for Society was even published. But your
Yeah.
first step in authorship is Unfit for Society, and then your second book is A Curve of Darkness.
Yes.
So I really feel like let's do it systematically, and let's start with Unfit for Society. Tell us about Unfit for Society. What motivated you to write Unfit for Society?
Unfit for Society sort of wrote itself in the sense that by the time I was putting the book together, the stories had already been written. Of course, that's systematically how it's supposed to happen. But what I'm saying is that I didn't actually sit down and decide I'm writing this book. I just realized I had already written a bunch of stories that were just there, and I was like, you know, I shared them with a couple of people. You read the book, so, and it felt like it was a good time to put it out, and the stories were meaningful, at least to me and to a couple of people who read the stories. And we decided, what, this could be a great book. Now, I don't know if it was a great book. I believe and hope it was. So, yeah, that's
It
how
was
it
a
was.
great.
It was born out of just things I had been writing, out of observations and experiences, and just I was writing for me, and then I felt like maybe other people also needed it.
Mm. And very many people look at that book and they don't understand one thing, that that book is a collection of stories from different backgrounds. So tell us about the stories. Are they stories on one theme, or are they stories that you collected over a period of time?
They were collected over a period of time, but they do share themes, because it's mostly about women and the northern community in general, and patriarchy, and a bit of terrorism, and how kids get into it without really understanding what they're getting into. And yeah, I feel like sort of the themes eventually just married to give birth to Unfit for Society, even though initially I didn't see the similarities in the things. Now reading the book, when rewriting and through the editing process, I realized that they would fit in one book, because they sort of shared a lot of ideas, but from different perspectives.
And that's very much interesting how you managed to put it together. Now you kind of try to write these stories from a background of this lady who came from the north, got education in the south, and the north
Yeah.
is very much a marginalized community.
Yes.
How was the experience of writing your story from that background, from that cultural background, and then also
Yeah.
from the background that you are moving away from what you studied and now you are
Mhm.
going into a totally new space?
Yeah. Um, Microbiology always felt like a new thing in my life, because even when I was a kid in primary school, I had always been writing. I used to write letters to God. You would wonder what kind of troubles I had then to write letters to God, but actually did feel like life was hard. But but it eventually, I think it wasn't much of a transition. It was just like doing what I had always been, more like following it now with more intention and being more deliberate about pursuing it. So, and the experiences come naturally, because I feel like the North, being removed and marginalized as it is, it doesn't have most of its stories told. So then I felt like I'd be this bridge and link between everything that happens over here, which I also experience, and then up north and everything I experience, and bring them in together in a story. And I think people get to see how much similar we are up there as they are around here. And there's a lot of, because we're fighting for the same thing. With you know, there's women's rights, fighting against all this gender-based violence, then growing up with all these confusions about who we are and family drama, and do we understand where to draw the lines when it comes to family? And we share so many experiences as human beings that if you're from a certain part of the world, you feel like these people don't understand. But then you read these stories and realize, we share these things and we're so similar.
And really, when I was reading your book, one of the things that caught my attention most is that your book tries to make people relate to a story that they may never experience or they may never have experienced, especially those of us who don't want to travel that long distance. Now, you talk in your stories about the trouble of growing up in an area that is not developed, and the trouble of getting to Nairobi and all that. Tell us a bit about that background and how it inspired you to become the author that you are today.
It was always very interesting. When I was in high school, we used to, and people don't even believe this actually happened. We would board lorries carrying cows and goats, and if you're lucky, you'd find some that are carrying sacks of, say, maize or beans, so you get to sit in the vehicle. But if it's carrying cows, then you have to sit at the top, like on those chumas on top of, and the road wasn't tarmacked, and you gotta sit there. You have to sit put for all those hours. The road is terrible. You travel for over 11, 12 hours sometimes. If your lorry breaks down, you don't know when help is coming or where from. So it was always such an exciting affair, but then it was also exhausting because you're going back to school. So you arrive today, and then you'll arrive today in the evening, and then tomorrow morning you have to go back to school. So it always, but once we go to Isiolo, usually it was easier because we take a matatu or a shuttle to Meru from Isiolo. So we felt like Kenya for us began in Isiolo. Like the other times we were just like, even when we're traveling, people are like, oh, mnaenda Kenya. It's natural. We never felt like we are a part of this country. But now they tarmac the roads, and I think we feel more connected in a way because we can easily travel. So yeah, it was always
Mm.
exciting sitting up there with cows who are going to be slaughtered for people traveling with you. You going to
I,
school and cows going to slaughterhouse.
I've had that experience. I've traveled on top of a lorry. Now I don't want to tell people a lot about what happened, but
Okay.
just to give to give a synopsis of this story. The lorry
Mm.
arrived where it was going. I did not. So you can imagine what happened. But
Okay.
at least I have the experience. At least I have the experience. I'm not so
Mhm.
badly off.
Yeah.
But
You
such
understand. You
stories
almost
are what
understand.
almost almost
Yeah.
understand, or maybe I over understand, because at least you arrived at school. I did not arrive where I was going, but such is life. And also, apart from the trouble of growing up, you also try to connect to the trouble of the people that you left at home, because then these people are not only facing marginalization, but they are also facing violence and attacks from other people in other communities.
Mhm. Yeah, and I always say that the sounds of bullets were always, they were not new to us. Sometimes you'd hear a gunshot and you wouldn't even pay attention to what's going on unless someone screams or people shout and say this and this has happened, because it was so normal. And this cattle rustling and people stealing each other's cows and killing each other. I mean, the killing was not as rampant then as it is now, because now I just feel like it's a malicious intent. Not that cattle rustling was not malicious, but now they just kill each other and go away as if nothing happened. And then the community that loses people has to retaliate by killing anyone it comes across, as long as they feel like they're from the rival tribe. So it's just a bunch of killings and retaliations. And when we were young, we used to enjoy it when these wars break out and we have to leave school and not go to school. But now it feels like, you know, it shouldn't be happening. And it's been happening for so long, since I was a kid, since my parents were younger. So that means then nobody is nobody is doing anything about it. And if they are, then they're doing it wrong. So it's As much as it makes content for stories, I feel like we've lost too many lives, shed too much blood that now it has to stop.
Yeah, and it's quite unfortunate that even after so many steps that you've made forward, these things still happen. When I was growing up, we could learn about these clashes, and we could learn about them in the form that response from the government is slow because infrastructure is bad. But
Yes.
now the roads have been developed, and it's only
Yes.
getting worse,
Yes.
and
Yes.
and, and,
And
and
so
and that's quite a pity.
it is a pity, and I don't know. I'm hoping that because now more and more of us are going to school and getting education and understanding that maybe this the development we won't get out of the marginalized category if we keep doing the same things we've been doing to each other all these years. So I think maybe if the elites of the society and the northern community decide that that's not the way they want to lead their lives, we will probably catch up with the rest of the world, and next time we meet you won't be calling us marginalized or minority community.
It's actually funny that I also call you marginalized or minority, because
Mhm.
where I come from, we are so much marginal, so much equally marginalized. Not equally,
Yeah,
because we can't really compare marginalization.
true.
I've never quite found a way to compare injuries. For example, your leg broke, so my hand broke, so we are the same. We can't be the same because
Yeah,
my use for the hand and your use for the leg are different. So
different.
it's quite a tough situation, but I agree with you. The more we get literature from there, the more we understand the suffering of these people,
Yes,
and we just hope that this message gets to the right people, or
I
at
really hope
least
so.
when it gets to them, they do the right thing.
Yes, I am really hoping that happens, and I'm also glad that so many youth groups are coming up to ensure to try and neutralize these situations and just, you know, ensure people are at peace with each other and understand each other. It's not easy, but I think we've taken the first step towards reparations of sorts, and we'll get there.
We hopefully we get there, because when I see things like when the politicians were attacked recently, I kind of wonder whether we are making one step forward and two backwards. Um,
Yeah,
it's crazy, but anyway, we will get there. Now back to unfit for society, and it's quite interesting. We are 23 minutes in, and we've not even got to a cover of darkness,
yeah.
and we've not even asked you the question. Because in fact, let me just prepare you for this. There's somebody who constantly asks this question whenever I bring young ladies on the show, and
Okay.
I'm pretty sure up to that point you know what the question is. Um, and then the question is, in fact, today let me just read it verbatim from my inbox. Here's the question.
Mm.
Uliza Munira, ako dabo dabo ama? We will get to that question when we do. For now, let's just keep it in a corner somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to answer that with a
um,
question.
oh, you'd like to answer it with a question? Do you want to ask the question now and then we give the answer at
Later.
the end?
No, you will ask the
Okay,
question at the end, and then I'll answer it with a question, and then we can leave.
the Kenyan way. The Kenyan
Yes.
way. Questions are answered with questions
Yes.
all the time.
Yes.
Now, to my viewers, if you ever answer a question with an answer, you are not a Kenyan. We have disowned you. Anyway, let's move on a bit. And I like the fact that we are having quite a little bit of engagement in the comment box, and some of them are quite interesting. I don't know whether what's happening with Eunice. I believe this comment was from earlier on. Let me see whether I can see Vera's comment. Yes, Vera's comment is here. She's saying that we are team blue. We stopped philosophing already. Well, ni vitenge tumeshona, so usitulete. Jimmy Wera is excited to be here. Thank you very much, Jimmy. It's been a while, and I know I have missed. Team Blue, oh yeah, yes, Team Blue. But I don't know. I don't want to be called Team Blue too much, because Chelsea fans will start getting excited over here, and I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
Eunice Akinyi is here, saying Douglas is handsome. Of course, Douglas is handsome. What are you saying? Well, I'll ask whether
If
this
you
is
insist,
handsome.
if you insist.
If I insist, oh God. I need some more people to tell me I'm handsome, because clearly I'm having a problem. Tito is saying he's tuned in. Tito, welcome. You can also share the stream so that you can have more people tuning like you are. Jicho la mwewe mzalendo. What? This guy is an I. Now this is going to get very hard. Nimefurahi kujiunga japo siku yetu Waswahili ni kesho, hakuna ziada mbovu. I'm not even sure I understood what that means, but I think he meant that he's happy to be here. The day is tomorrow. Now, hakuna ziada mbovu, what does that even mean?
That this isn't bad either.
Okay. I passed Kiswahili for your information. I performed very well in Swahili. Don't ask me how. That's going to become a problem. Douglas, okay. You parted ways with the lorry. Yes, I did part ways with the lorry, Fanon. And my mode of parting ways with the lorry can also be explained as my abrupt interaction with Mother Earth. So those two come together very well. And it can also be explained in terms of a brief exit of some fluids from my body that are red. So
using the emergency exit.
Yes, and unprovoked. This is very bad.
Okay.
You know, I actually fell on my face from that lorry. This is one of those stories that I should write. Anyway.
We need details eventually. We need details.
You know, when you are growing up, the roads were so bad. So lorries could dig trenches, literally dig trenches. So when you slide off the lorry, you get into the trench, and you can imagine your whole face gets in. You have two struggles: to mend the injuries and to get out of the trench. So I'll tell people that story sometime. Jicho la Mzalendo has a question for you. Swali langu kwa Munira, je, uandishi unalipa? I think I understood that one. He's asking whether writing pays, and you'll get to that bit later. Eunice is saying, that question came out crazily. Which question? The one of Jicho la Mzalendo?
I don't think so. I think she's responding to something that she already asked earlier, maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay. Eunice, you'll also clarify, and also remember to tell me that I'm handsome so that I feel good. Anyway, moving on, Munira. Let's stick with unfit for society a bit. I'm not leaving a curve of darkness, but I'll come back to it in a minute, and I'll also tell people why I keep talking about shadow. Unfit for society. By the way, what inspired that girl on the top cover?
I almost feel sorry for her. She's been out here alone too long, so we might need to mingle her with the society at some point.
Yes, we do. But, we must need to do that.
I just felt like it's a story of sort of feeling removed. It didn't necessarily have to be a woman, but since most of the themes covered, women matters and issues of that sort, I just felt like it's a solitary person with these solitary thoughts. I'm not saying it's me, but it could be. So it's just a matter of feeling removed from the general society sometimes, not always. So there's that connection. People are not too far away, but they're also not that close for you to feel them sometimes.
And a lot of people, somebody said a lot of people have so many people close to them but are really lonely. And some of the stories that you tell in that book speak so much to that. But anyway, before I forget, let's pick up a curve from where you've left it. A curve of darkness. Which curve is this, and what exactly is going on with this curve?
I wish I had checked out the page, the poem. This title is drawn from earlier, but I'm sure we'll find it at some point. But it says something along the lines of life sometimes feeling like a carving out of a darkness. It doesn't lead you. You just have this feeling of life. I'm trying to find the words. I don't know if I have them. But how you feel removed from life, and life feeling tougher for you in some moments. So it's just a bunch of emotional collections, like if I could say that. And I think the higher percentage of the poems are sort of personal feelings, because I don't think you can write a poem about something you didn't feel. And I hate to say this, but I feel like it's my favorite compared to Unfit. Not that I don't love Unfit, and I hope she's not hearing this, but I'm just saying. Hmm. Yeah.
That's pretty much interesting. And somebody's asking me in the comments that you are stuttering. No, she's not stuttering. You are the one who is stuttering, stutter hearing. But anyway, that's pretty interesting. Now, Munira, a Cup of Darkness is basically a collection of stories. I had a
Poems.
lady here a while back, and I think I'll
Mm,
be having her back soon. And I think because of this book, I'll also have you back together with her and one person you never met.
okay.
The word darkness comes to me like a feeling of loneliness, a feeling of sadness. Are you writing for us sad stories? If you're not writing for us sad stories, then what type of poems do we expect to find here? And while you answer that, I'll just rush and grab myself an extra cup of coffee.
Okay. As you do that, I think the poems are kind of sad. I've been told that there are no happy poems in the book, which is unfortunate, but also it's okay. I think sometimes you feel that sadness, the depth of sadness that can fill an entire book. So maybe and hopefully the next one will be happier, but we're not forcing anything. If we still have more sad poems to write, then we will do another book of sad poems. But yeah, I think the book generally covers those dark feelings of, as you said, loneliness, solitude, and all of that. But if we
Mm.
have happy poems come to us in the next few months or years, we will document them too.
Now, when I'm reading stories, there's a pattern of reading that I follow through. I try to read and understand about the author, the motivations, and also I try to understand about, what are the kind of things that this author is trying to cover. So I'm not going to take you through all that. But I'm just trying to understand what is the cultural context or a Kenyan context to these poems. Are they mostly about women? Are they mostly about society? Or are they a jumble of quite a few things?
I would say they are a jumble, but then mostly they are from an emotional context. So I don't think you'll find much of philosophy, or they're just pieces of feelings. And I am so glad by the reviews I got for them, because so many people related to those pieces just as they are. And I was doubtful at first, because it was a new thing even for me to do, but I realized sometimes people are not looking for a philosophical context to every writing. Sometimes they just want to feel understood, and I think this poetry collection understands people, or it makes them feel understood, like whatever they're going through or whatever they are feeling in the moment, because it's not a continuous feeling. Even the feelings throughout the poems change from sadness to a bit of excitement to confusion and all this. And people relate because, like I said, we share the same journeys as human beings more than anything.
Mm, it's interesting that you say that because when I was reading this book, the most interesting part for me was that I could see somebody in each of the poems. So one moment I'm reading a poem and I see somebody I grew up with.
Yeah.
Another moment I'm reading a poem and I see myself. I see my
Mhm.
father. It's a jumble of different societal
Yeah.
things, and that's why to everyone I meet, I met somebody who asked me to choose between an society and a cup of darkness, which one they should buy.
Hmm.
I gave them a piece of advice. I hope you won't be mad at me for it. I
Fine.
told them to buy a cup of darkness while they wait to buy an piece of society.
That
So
is
I hope
perfect.
I gave them that advice. Because was it intentional for you to write these stories that cover society, or these poems really that cover different elements of the society, or is it more coincidentally by accident or accidentally by coincidence?
Both coincidentally and accidentally, and accidents and coincidence, because most of them were for me. Like, I was always writing how I'm feeling, how what I'm thinking, in the moment. And when you're writing how you're feeling in the moment, you can't filter. I think you've realized
Mm.
that when you think about writing something, it becomes harder to write. But if you get that instant inspiration and you just write it as you feel it, it feels more personal and more relatable even to most people. So most of them were just a result of my feelings or my thoughts in the moment. And I realized again, just as with Unfit, that I have this many pieces. Most of them were actually on my status at some point on my WhatsApp status. I'm sure you must have seen them. And then I was like,
Mhm.
and then the responses I get from my status when I post them, people are like, this is so deep. Of course, they're the deep, this is deep people. And then others are like, they explain how it makes them feel. And, it just felt like it was something worth doing. And I was glad to just put them together.
Mm. And when somebody reads your poems and also reads your book, they can
Yeah.
tend to think you are a very serious person and very very tough person in real life. Are you a very tough person in real life?
I am Douglas. I am a serious person. Can't you see the seriousness on my face?
Mm. See, is this the face of seriousness? Okay, wait. Is that the face of seriousness? No, I refuse.
No, this is it.
So wait. Let me try this on myself. Is this serious? There is a very thin line between serious and angry when it comes to people who look like me. But anyway,
Mhm.
that,
Wow.
that line is
What does
almost
that
blood.
mean?
Now, in fact, let me speak to my viewers direct. If you have a
Mhm.
face that looks like mine, make sure that you smile all the time at night because people might look at you and think you are angry, and you are not angry. You're actually very happy. Anyway, but
Wow.
again, I insist. I look, even somebody has said it in the comments here. Eunice, thank you. Douglas is handsome, Basi. Yes, I am. And she's just rectifying her comment that it was about you being double double. It's becoming a national issue. And you have to tell
Okay.
us whether you are double double or not.
Uh,
and this question has to be answered tonight. Tonight. Anyways,
okay.
this is pretty interesting. Somebody asked a question. I believe it was Jicho la mwenye Jicho la Mwewe Mzalendo. Jicho la Mwewe Mzalendo asked a question, and her question was, does writing pay? Let me see whether I can find that question. Yes, here is the question. Je,
Mhm.
uandishi unalipa? If you want to answer it in Kiswahili, all the best. I'm just not going to try.
Me too. I'll just answer it in this other language that I'm speaking. I think that question is writing will eventually pay. I mean, personally, it's the only thing that has ever paid me. Um, right? Yeah, I don't think I've ever done anything else and gotten paid for it, apart from the voter education thing I did back in 2000 and something. So
Mm.
yeah, I think writing does pay, but
Mhm.
I think as with every profession and as with every career, and I think we always say this, it takes time, it needs patience, and whether you're getting paid or not, you need to be writing. And that's the thing with writing, and I think generally with arts, you started doing it because you wanted to do this. You didn't do it because you. It's not like going to school and saying I wanna be a doctor and go to work here and there or be a lawyer because you know you can want to be an activist and know that it might not pay. But with certain careers, we go into them knowing that this is gonna pay us. But with writing, you do it from the start because I'm a microbiologist and you're an economist. But we're here writing because and no one forced us into it, and that's the problem. Or rather, it could be a problem because if you keep waiting for the payments to come and for people to actually love your work and start saying, "Oh, you're the god of literature, we will pay you," it doesn't happen like that, and sometimes we have to wait way too long. But then the thing is, just consistently write, and eventually it will pay. Yeah, so it does pay. I would say it does pay. If you have the patience,
Mm.
it will pay you someday.
Yeah, and that ties very well to a question that someone asked me before in terms of
Mhm.
income from writing. Is it a marathon or a relay? And pretty much what you are telling us, this is pretty much a Kenyan thing, is a marathon.
Yeah,
And
it is.
and if you are writing anything, except if you are writing on Facebook, I don't know whether writing on Facebook pays. Um,
Mhm.
okay, writing on Facebook can pay, but I don't know whether sharing memes on Facebook pays. But yeah, keep
Yeah,
trying, keep trying. Also, sharing memes might pay. People
yes.
like me will buy memes. Very soon, I'll be buying memes. I'm buying all memes about black men being handsome. So send those memes in my inbox. I'll be buying all of them tonight. Anyways,
Okay,
um,
Blackpink.
this black thing and other thing, I'm really going to stretch it. Now, Munira, let's delve a bit deep into how the journey has been in terms of you trying to convince people to buy one, to buy your story, two,
Mhm.
to buy your books, and three, to also read you. How has that journey been? Easy, hard?
Um, I'll say how a YouTuber would have said it. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it's not easy, but then it's doable. So this is me welcoming you to my YouTube channel officially. But yeah, I think I think I started by trying blogs. So I blogged for a while, and then I started writing on Facebook. And Facebook actually got me more readers than my blog did. So I transferred most of my blog content to my Facebook, and that's where I built my audience. So by the time Unfit was coming out, there were so many people who are excited and looking forward to the book. And then I did my first launch in Marsabit, and that was like a very novel thing. It had never happened. So there was all the excitement, and I think the books really sold well because people didn't even understand exactly what this meant. So like, so you wrote this, you like have all these words. This entire book is your words. Why would you do that? I was like, I don't know, but I did it. Just buy the book, and they did.
Mm,
So I think
mm,
it was a little, and I was getting into it. I wasn't even sure how to go about it, but you figure out as you go. But then as time goes by, the sales of course reduce, and now we're looking at how to new marketing strategies, and if maybe we need a new edition, a second edition, and things like that. So I think it will itself, if initially, if you have built an audience, and then now people read the work and love it and start marketing it. So even that, reviews on blogs and on Facebook and everywhere, wherever people decide to review the book and say they love it or comments, that also drives a certain number of buyers. But I
mm,
think as the sales reduce, then you need new marketing strategies on how to get the book out there. And I think that's the phase where I'm at now. I'm trying to figure out
mhm.
how to give it more audience.
Yeah, and putting your story before people and trying to convince these people that they really need to read your story. I really relate to what you are saying, and that's the challenge of every writer, really. And I
Yes.
don't know what you would say, whether you'd say that is your biggest challenge, or would you say that there are bigger challenges out here?
No, I think that's the biggest challenge because as writers, we have the words and we do the writing well, and we will get it to the publishing, printing, we'll take it through the publishing process. But now, when it gets to marketing, we rely mostly on our social medias, and we don't have a distribution channel. We don't even know how to market. Like sometimes someone asks me what my book is about, and I blank out. I'm like, I don't know. It's just a book, and I think it's good. You should read it. And it's it it's hard to. I don't know if we need to go for trainings on how to actually market our products the way companies do. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the biggest challenge for me, and I think for most authors, it's the marketing and the distribution.
Mm. And that's pretty interesting that you say you should go for training, because one of the toughest things I found when I was trying to put my book out there
Mm,
was how to tell people, because the problem is you have this whole story in your head. You've written this, this
mhm.
story, but then how to make this person also understand that this story is what you experience is one of the biggest challenges. So I think you need to also be taught how to make memes and small thumbnails about what you are writing to people, and probably somebody to sell it for us. But
Yeah.
it becomes interesting. You self-published instead of going through the normal traditional publishing, where you give your story to a publishing house and then you get a book back. What
Yeah.
motivated you to self-publish, and is that a good experience? And for somebody who is in the comments and wants to self-publish or wants to buy a self-published book, is
Mhm.
it is there a quality gap that you found between?
I think we've always, as Kenyans, and I don't know if this is the whole of Africa's experience, but for most of us Kenyans, we already understand that publishers are looking for school books. It doesn't matter if they want set books, they want revision materials and things like that. But personally, I didn't even submit the book to any publisher. I just decided to forge forward. But then I think the thing that we've also again discussed before is not to omit any of the publishing processes, especially the editing phase. Editing can be expensive, and it is expensive, so you find people decide to be a bit reluctant to pay that much for the editing, and that's what makes the books look like they are not up to standard. The story is there, but the presentation and just the grammatical errors, the basics that make people feel like this is substandard. The story might not be substandard, but the way it's presented could be. So I think it's okay to self-publish, and as long as you just ensure that your story is well edited, it's proofread, the design, the presentation. You've already done your best by giving us your story, so why not go all the way and just give it the best you can? And if you can't do it in the moment, it's okay to wait. It doesn't have to be done now, you know. So you can wait until you have your resources in place and just publish the book, a good book, because once you do that, I think if even if people are skeptical, that's the word, right? Even if people are skeptical, I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Yeah, but even
I think it is.
they people will review, and if one person reads and feel like this is actually great, then they'll go and put it out there, and people will eventually buy.
Mm. And,
Yeah.
and one thing that I found when I'm trying to push my book to people is that when somebody reads this book and enjoys the story, they kind of tend to pull in more people and tell more people about this story and tell more people to buy this story. Is it the same experience for you?
Yes, it has been, and I really appreciate all those people who've decided to take their time and just talk about the book on social media. And I get calls from random people or people inboxing me saying, "So and so, give me your number. I would like a copy of this." So that's kind of connection, and friends marketing your work is really awesome.
Mm. And that's one of the things that people really need to learn, especially in terms of promoting young people who are writing it like yourself, or young people who are generally in art like yourself, because then people do not know who is Munira particularly right now. They will eventually, but then they have not yet. So if somebody is reading your book, you encourage them to share it with other people so that also other people can enjoy what they enjoyed, or even if they didn't
Exactly.
like what they read in your book, so that other
Yeah.
people can also see if they think Munira did not write well. Do you think so?
Yeah, I mean, it's with some books you see out here, even these bestsellers, we have different opinions. You might see some people hyping the book and saying, this is better than your other book. And you're like, really? Haven't you read this
Mm.
other book? So I think whatever
Yeah.
your perspective of the book is, you can market it, even from that negative. Okay, I don't think negative reviews are really good for books, but you could say exactly how you felt about it, because you know if you didn't like it as much, then you could say what you didn't like about the book, and I'm sure there could be a thing or two that you liked about the book, and that could push someone else to buy it. But people
Mm,
like controversial things, and if someone says this book is bad because of this and this, they would want to probably buy and see how bad it is. I don't know if it's the same
mm.
with books, but for some products it works.
Yeah, I tend to tell people that if you think this book is not good, at least ask one other person to give you that opinion, and share that book. If that person also thinks it's not good, then you probably the two of you are right. But then do not stop at reading it. Just try to pass it to at least one more person, and that would really
Exactly.
help.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What did you do to the time, Munira? It's already 51 minutes.
An hour is gone by.
What did you do? It's your fault.
I just sat here and talked. You
I
made
just sat
me
here and
talk.
talked. Anyway, so let me try to be very, very nice with what we are talking so that this time also can be nice to us. Anyways, let's go a bit deep into one of your books, and before you can even read for us a quote from okay, like you said, we'll start from unfit for society. Now, I read unfit for society cover to cover, and just for disclosure purposes, unfit for society has been looked at more than 3 times. The first edition was relooked at, and that is really the slavery to quality that we have. You really have to be a slave to quality to bring out the best. And I have 2 copies of Unfit for Society. I can see the other one looking at me from the bookshelf over there. But I
It can
decided
be if
intentionally to
it's
pick
not the one you
the
picked.
very first edition, the very first edition that came.
Oh yeah.
It's I decided to pick that one, and
Yeah.
there's a story that I'm trying to find that touched me very much, and it was about this attack that happened in the community, and
Ah,
people were killed.
that
Tell
must
me a
be
bit
done up
about
there.
what motivated. Yes, dawn of death, exactly. And it starts with the bold with some bold things up there, right?
Yeah.
Imagine I even remember how that
let me
story
let
touched
me
me that
let me
much.
read you let me read you the bold thing.
Exactly. It started with a bold thing, and I'm trying to find it, and I
It
don't even know
is.
which story.
I think because you have the first edition, it does not have this categorization that this one has. I don't know if you can
Wait a
see
minute.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, that one is more beautiful. I found it actually. Look at how mine looks.
yeah. I owe
You wrote
you
it
an
all
evening.
PDP, right? Anyways, so my question was,
Mm,
tell us a bit about what motivated this story, and I'll ask you to read for us as a random excerpt from the book, but then
yeah.
I'll want you to read also for us a random excerpt from this story because I find
This
this story to be a story of reality. I don't know whether it's true or not, but I think it's very true.
uh, the attack generally the way it happened, it's true. But my characters, I just tried to imagine in a situation like that. You know, when you generalize and say 60 people lost their lives, we feel the tragedy and we feel sad. But when you see how families lost their loved ones in form of a character or characters losing their lives or their loved ones be- through the attack, then it feels more personal. So many people died, but I just decided to narrow it down to one family and show how in the greater perspective in which it might have or it did actually affect so many people. And they still, people are still not sure who carried out the attack. Some say it was political, others say it's for tribal purposes. I don't think anyone ever followed up on the story or the case to see what exactly happened. But the attack happening was a real thing. It's a real event. It's online, the Tulbi massacre. It's on Wikipedia. The media did cover it, but I don't think it got the kind of attention it deserved because the mystery is still remains unsolved, kind of.
Mm. So,
Yeah.
so do you want to read for us a very small, interesting excerpt from that story?
You say interesting. Now I don't know. Do you know where the interesting part is?
The whole story story is sad, so I don't even
Yeah.
know how you would pick an interesting part from that story.
Mm.
But I kind of get it to be a story that has a lot of depth in terms of how it touches the Kenyan situation. So I think you could read for us a story about, the death of the people. I
Yeah.
don't know. I like reading about death.
I think death is as much a part of life as life itself. So
Mm,
we can't ignore it.
true.
I think
True.
I'm going to
So if
read.
you put me on the spot to find death in that story and read it, I like doing
Yeah.
that to people.
You know what?
I like putting people on the spot to read about things that I'm thinking and they're not thinking about them.
Yeah. Uh, I'm just going to read. I think a paragraph. Is that okay? Or
Perfect.
two,
Perfect. Perfect.
maybe. Um, Amos stood tall above the red earth and stared down at it. His eyes pierced through the lumps of soil and saw what lay beneath it. Tuma, Adi, Ipse. He called softly the names of his wife and two children. He had postponed this visit from the day they had been buried. They had buried his family. He always regretted letting them go ahead of him. His wife, Tuma, had insisted on living with the children for the naming ceremony of Ipse. They needed to prepare a lot of things and send invitations, which was always by word of mouth, to a few people even from the other villages. Ipse was 5 months old and he was already a little late for the naming. He agreed reluctantly. He always preferred to travel with his family, but when Tuma insisted, he let them go. A week later, he packed up all the shopping he had done into his car and set out in the evening. He talked to his family and they told him that they had gone to Ijara to spend the night with their maternal grandparents. Adi, the eldest daughter, asked him if he had remembered to carry her teddy bear, and he assured her a little over 5 times that he had it. "You will drive back if you don't have it, Daddy," she stated. "I have it, White," he promised. Adi translated to White, and he loved to call her that. Ipse was still young to demand much, but he kept his father entertained with all the chatter noises that he made on the phone. At exactly 12 midnight, he bade them good night, not knowing that it was the last good night he would ever say to them.
Whew. Okay. I'm not going. If that paragraph is not over, okay. I know it's over. Um,
Mm.
I don't know which page that is in your book. Mine is on page 161. But
Mine is on page 87.
so you can even see we are even both unfit for society already.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love that story because of just how real it is, and I think people need to get the touch of your story from a close person's point of view, because you are telling these stories from almost a first person point of view, even though some of them you tell them from a second person narrative. So I like that about your stories. um I feel tempted to tell you to read for us a poem from A Curve of
Mhm.
Darkness already, but I
Mhm.
also feel tempted to just read a few comments before I can tell you that. So I will go with the second temptation to read a few comments, then we can go with that.
Okay.
I'll watch Madiang. Hey, this name sounds like it's coming from both South Sudan and South Nyanza. Uluoch Madiang. He says, hello all, great initiative as always. Keep it up. Big up for every creative involved. Big up to you too for tuning in. We love you. Um, Jicho la Mwewe Mzalendo is back and he says, hey, what? This is going to be tough. Waandishi wengi hulalamika kuwa matbaa. What is matbaa? Matbaa hukaa sana na mswada kabla ya kuchapisha. Miswada ya Munira ilichukua muda gani kuchapishwa? Hala, okay, let me try and translate it. I think this guy is saying that authors complain that publishers, matbaa must be publishers.
Mm.
Publishers stay with their work for long before publishing. How long did Miswada the manuscripts? How long did Munira's manuscripts take before they were published? I've tried. If I got it wrong, you have to go with that.
I hope Jicho la Mwewe Mzalendo understands that the book was self-published, so it didn't go through the process of publishers keeping it. But yeah, he or she is right. I think he's a he. Uh, that publishers do stay with books for a while, and sometimes the feedback you get is not even encouraging, or sometimes you never hear from them. But yeah, it's sometimes you can give it a shot and submit. You never know. But if you can go ahead and self publish, the only thing I can say is ensure that the work is quality.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting that you say that, because I was going to say that he needs to understand that the process of self-publishing and the process of what we call traditional publishing are two different processes that also attract two different types of procedures. So he needs to understand that before he can get this question into context. Elizabeth says, I'm learning. Thanks, Munira and Douglas. It's pretty much thanks, Munira and Douglas, for cracking the jokes. Because I think I'm just having fun here and cracking jokes. And
Mhm.
Munira is giving us all the content. Anyway, so I think that's a bit of it from Munira. Let me see whether there's anything in the comments. No, I can't see anything in the comments. In the inbox, I mean. Is it a good time to come back to that double question? No, let's not come back to that double question. Let's come back to darkness. And also, just for disclosure purposes, when I was writing my book, Chasing a Bullet, I used a poem from Munira in my book. And that kind of made my book even more interesting, because then it made it more relatable, and brought an element of fun into the book. So I want to throw it into a car for a moment. And I want Munira, you just read for us one poem, just one poem. And because of the nature of poetry, I'm going to
Yeah.
get myself off the screen as that poem is being read, so that I don't know whether this is the right word, the right way to say it, but you can own the screen. And in fact, I'm going to get everything off the screen, so that it's only you that you are seeing on the screen for that
Huh.
moment. So, Munira,
I feel honored.
um, this is going to be interesting. So, we want to listen to a poem from your book. Are you good to go?
I will find the poem in a minute. And okay, a minute is a long time
Okay.
to find a
I
poem.
can continue cracking jokes as I find the poem.
Please do.
also,
Thank you.
also cracking jokes about how my bookshelf is not in the picture, and also how this helmet is in this video. Anyway, um, about helmets and being in the video. Um, so as Munia finds the book, I just want to tell you about something that I'm going to put below your screen just right now. That so if you are a writer, or you don't need to be a writer. If you really want to write anything, you want to write your story, you want to write a biography, you want to write biographies for people, you want to write what? No, if you want to write your own obituary, don't come to this class. We don't want people who want to write their own obituaries. but if you want to write obituaries for other people as well, or you want to write anything really, Writers Guild Kenya in this is it September? Yes, it's September. It's offering a course called Write Your Passion. They are basically trying to teach you every element of writing, the basics, the complications, the hurdles. They'll even take you through the process of publishing and all that. Call this number. You'll not speak to somebody who speaks a hoarse voice like mine. You'll speak to somebody who speaks a very beautiful voice. And she will tell you about this whole course and everything. And if you also prefer to speak to gentlemen, they may just send you to me. Or Gabriel may decide to speak to you. If Gabriel speaks to you, you are going to have fun. Gabriel speaks in a very nice way and very polite way. And he'll tell you things like, when you join this story, you are going to write a very nice story. How about if you treated Gabriel well? And please, Vera, don't come in the comments. You are banned from the comment box. Anyway, so join the class. You can go to the website. You can call or text or WhatsApp the number, and they'll give you more details. So, Munira, this one, Write Your Passion, is off the screen. Douglas is off the screen. Off you go.
All right, I have found my poem. So I'm just gonna. My poems are not titled, and the poems are not too long. So I think it'll take far less than a minute to read this particular one I have. Um, it goes. We hope that it would all have been worth it in the end, when the road stretches out like a lifetime before you, and it's just you and your unfaithful shadow. and the carcasses and bones of the parts of you that died along the way. When the empty space in your life, created by the things that you could only long for, fills up with more longings of the tunnel, because you have waited too long for the light at the end of the tunnel before you realize that you haven't even gotten to the tunnel yet. We hope that it would all have been worth it in the end, when your path diverged from the wishes of those you owe, and you got lost alone, when you stood on the side of a vast road that seemed difficult going forward as the tracks you had already covered. You had to wonder what they meant when they said it gets better with time. Yet you have been here for eternity already. It's okay that you have doubted your tracks sometimes and wondered if everyone was right about your choices. But it's okay that 8,000 hours of torture only gave you 5 minutes of glory. I think it's my new favorite.
It's a new favorite. Okay. I like reading people's favorites. Um, so I'm going to reread that one. I'm going to, I don't even know which page it was. I was struggling in my book to try and find where it was.
Page 54. I should have read that before I
Page
started.
54.
Yes.
Perfect. Let me remove my bookmark to page 54. Ah, perfect. Here we go. Okay. That's going to be one I'm going to be reading tonight. A bit more comments for you. Fanon has asked this question twice. I think this question really needs to be answered as a matter of urgency. Who are your favorite authors? And I want to split that a bit and ask you who are your favorite Kenyan and also international authors?
Hmm. Um, I don't know how to answer that question because every time I read a book, I feel like it's not about the author, it's about the book. So then I might fall in love with a certain book from a certain author, but if I read another book by the same author, I won't like it as much. But my latest discovery, and he was recommended by Vera, Rabi Alamedin. I think the book An Unnecessary Woman and I the Divine, both by the same authors, I loved them. So I don't know if he qualifies to be my favorite author, but I loved the books. They were all amazing. And then I always look for stories that make me feel a certain way, you know, not
Mm,
necessarily a certain, make me feel something. So then there's also this book by Patterson. I think he's Danish or something. The book is called to Siberia. To Siberia. It left me feeling sort of alone in a way. I don't know if that's a good thing, but it was a good feeling in the moment. I'm just mentioning books, and then there's James Mishena, who also writes so well, caravans
mm,
especially, and the novels. Now that's for the authors who are not Kenyans. I'm
mm,
just gonna narrow down to Africa, and of course, I think we all love Chinua Achebe, but like the latest, because now I'm reading more of new authors than I am reading the older books. Not that I'm not reading the old books, but I'm just trying to see because I'm also a new writer. Then I would want to see how they're not really competition. My counterparts are faring and what they're writing about. So I think the book that actually made me sit down and think about a lot of decisions I thought I had already made was Vera's book, Diary of a Nyaha. And I don't know, I would actually recommend it over my own books because it's so thought provoking. And
and loyal.
I mean, it's not that I am looking at. It's just I loved the book so much, and
Mm,
I, I would totally read it anytime. And
mm.
then poetry by the book. What's the book? Questions for Ada. You know the author of Questions for Ada. She's Nigerian.
Question for Adam. Do you want
Ijeoma,
me to run the and check?
Ijeoma, and then the other name is super long. Let's just leave it at
Let's leave it at the
Ijeoma.
German.
Yeah,
Let's leave it at that.
Ijeoma writes the poetry is so
Mm,
good. I loved it. Uh, I don't think I have completed reading the entire book, but I think again, looking at your book, Brian Banacho also has two books. I have only read one. Charles has three books out now, and I have read all the three of them. I have read your book. I have read some stories from Unia's book, and she has a new book out now. And I think we're coming up with these amazing stories of our time, and they really represent us. And I would say right now I'm really enjoying everything that's coming out.
mm. That's very much interesting. Now, there's somebody who is bringing scandals here. Omar Ombara
Oh,
is bringing scandals. She knows where that word comes from. I told her I will follow her with scandals all here.
okay.
Omar, welcome. I don't really know where these emojis have come from, because if somebody just brings emojis, it could be everything. It could be that she's laughing at or smiling because I'm handsome. She could also be laughing at the fact that I think I'm handsome. It could be everything. But anyway,
Yeah.
we are just going to take to stay positive here, positive vibes only, and assume that she's happy that I'm handsome. But anyway,
Hmm.
this is a scandal. We'll uncover this scandal very soon. I think
I
you've
was
already gone
thinking,
through this.
yes.
Anon had asked it twice. Oh, Oma is back. She gave a clarification. She says she got the last bit, but she will rewatch. Please do and share widely so that also your mates can rewatch it, can watch it even after we are done. They'll just miss the fact that we had a lot of fun when we were live, and then they had fun when they were not live. And then they asked questions and they could not ask questions because they didn't ask questions when they could have asked questions. What am I even saying? I don't
I don't know.
know.
You're being told
Now, she says,
to focus.
congratulations, Munira, inspiring read. Inspiring read. I'm really looking for a scandal in this statement because I'm sure there's a scandal. Yes, there comes the scandal. Fans glass. You make it fansome. What is fansome?
Almost
Is it
handsome,
the
but
same as
not there.
okay? So okay, let's try and make this a good situation. So this is handsome with three
Mm-hmm.
letters instead of four. So it was supposed to be hand. She made it fun. Okay,
Came
fine.
fun.
We will take the positive. This means handsome. It's done.
Okay, if you say so.
More scandals. Look, more scandals. She's saying that I should focus. More scandals. Oma, scandals. Anyway, Munira, moving on
Yes.
so swiftly, and it's very much interesting that we are already 13 minutes over time, but I'm not even having a problem with that. Um, so we are moving very close to wrapping this one up, and I just want to ask you two more questions. One, it's the question that everyone asks everyone, but I want to ask it. I would have asked you whether what you tell an upcoming writer about writing, blah 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 blah. No, I'm not going to ask you about that. There's this crop of people who have stories and they have stored them somewhere. They are not really comfortable to bring them to people because they don't really think the stories are very much interesting. Have you ever read back your story and you thought it was not interesting? Because I think that is quite a scandal. Um, now look at what Omar does to me. Now I'm talking about scandals. Now, have you read your story back to yourself and felt in a certain way about your story? Number two, what would you tell these people? Not the ones who are thinking about writing, because I think those ones are like 90 steps back and they need to move closer by starting to write.
Mhm.
What would you tell these people who have stories and they're just sitting on them? Because my first story was about love, and we will discuss where that story went to some other day. but what would you tell these people really?
I think I'll start with the second question because I might have forgotten the first. Anyway, I think the people who usually hide their stories usually have amazing stories. And then it's it's not. I think it's not easy for anyone to just share their art because there's a lot of criticism. You don't know how it's going to be received. There are all those fears. But I think the best thing to do is just put it out and then deal with however people respond, I think. And before you even put out the book out into the public, you could share it with a couple of friends or even your closest. If you're in a book club or you know an editor or something, you could share with these people first if you're really scared of putting it out entirely. So, but either way, unless you're writing for yourself and that's how you're gonna go about it for the rest of your life, it's really important that you just let someone see your work. And oftentimes, those people who hide their work have amazing, amazing writings that they're sitting on, and it's probably what we need to have the next bestseller out of Kenya. So
Hmm.
give it to
It's
us.
interesting that you
We're
say.
waiting.
It's interesting that you say that, and then Oma comes in with more scandals, and she's asking, "What makes you hang out with Writers Guild?"
I am Writers Guild.
I know, right? There was this joke that was going out. I think it's been going out the entire week, and it was saying that it's been 3 years since Jehovah Wanyonyi went to be with himself, because
This
he
is
said
me
he's the
being
Lord.
with myself.
So, what makes you hang out with yourself?
I think I'm fun and I am super cool and I am exciting and I have things to say to myself and I have plans, so we have to discuss these things and it's important to spend time with yourself.
Hmm.
Hashtag
So,
self love.
hashtag self love, hashtag Writers Guild loves itself,
Hashtag
hashtag
writers.
Munira is Writers
Yeah.
Guild.
Hashtag Munira is Writers Guild. Hashtag Writers Guild is Munira.
Oh, okay. And also hashtag Douglas is Hunter. Anyway,
Okay. You had a first
we
question.
have
I feel like I haven't answered.
um I think you pretty much answered the first question, which was what you tell writers who have written their stories and they have not thrown them out.
Yeah.
What you've not answered is the second one, which was asking whether you've ever written a story and you read it back and you felt a certain way.
Yes. No, that was actually your first question, and then I began with your second question. Then I forgot the first question. Now,
Okay.
uh, I remember when I started, when I realized I'm a writer, and this actually means something. I decided I'd share my poems with some magazines, send out to submit to those submissions, the calls for submissions. And recently I was going through my email. It was not so recent, a while back. I was just going through my emails, the sent emails, and I came across some of these poems, and I was like, "What did I do?" You know, I couldn't believe I actually sent that out to be published. I was like, "Ouch! I'm so sorry you had to read this." I almost wrote an apology email, but I felt like that would make things worse. So I think when you're starting out, and that's when you have all the confidence. You're like, yo, this is it. I am the next thing, the next big thing. So you share these things with so much confidence, and you actually believe it. And I think it helps to some extent to actually believe you got what it takes, because then you grow, and then you look back and you feel embarrassed, but it's fine. It's where you came from. My first novel was handwritten. It was also a story about love. It was entirely based on it had these themes and settings of soap operas because then I was watching so much soap. So I think I even had a Ricardo or Alejandro in my story. I don't know where he went, but my Alejandro, yeah. But I lost the book. I think I'm glad I did because where am I gonna take an Alejandro?
Oh God, this is sweet.
Yeah,
Alejandro. Oh God.
Alejandro.
Okay. Okay. First of all Mexicans, we are sorry. Now, I just want to read a few comments from a post that was shared, I believe, on another wall. Millie is watching. Welcome, Millie. Thank you very much. Ivy Dixons is waving at you. Ivy, thank you very much, and you're welcome. Amos Onyango says, "Keep it up, Munira. Good work." On
Thank
behalf
you.
of Munira, thank you very much, Amos. She actually decided to say it herself. So It's cool. Myra Ondiso says, Munira, I just dropped by for my promised treat. It's so refreshing listening to you. Go, girl. Well, where is the promised treat again?
It can't be said in public. Most I don't think I can.
Okay. That tone felt so apologetic. So, Myra, tafuta huyu mjamaa kwa inbox, alipe madeni. Madeni lazima zilipwe. Anyway, Munira, before I read Omar's parting shot, and you will respond to that candle as well, some last words for us as we head for supper. Okay, is it still supper time? I don't know. Yes, some last words for us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Patience, lots of it, and more patience. I think even apart from the things we're doing in our lives, say the writing and whatever careers we're pursuing, life generally demands so much patience from us, and we do miss it sometimes because you're caught up in the moment, you're angry or you're feeling desperate, and you're like things are not working out, and you tend to feel like life is pointless. I do feel that sometimes too, but then I always remind myself that everything passes, the good, the bad. So we can move from good to bad, or good to good, or bad to bad, bad to us. But even rock bottoms have an end, and things get better. So we should be patient with ourselves and appreciate every hurdle and every get that opens wide to let us through.
Perfect. Now, to end this show, it will be very interesting for you to respond to this very last question, because I believe it's a very interesting question, and it's from Omar. And Omar, which has candles, still asks, so
Hmm.
you feel motivated or discouraged when readers criticize your work?
I feel motivated and discouraged.
What is that feeling? Feel motivated and discouraged. It's like telling
I
somebody you are a very short man.
no, it's like you feel good that people read your work and they're giving feedback, and you also know that this criticism is going to help your work. But I think it's natural to feel a little downcast for a moment, but it's not bad that people criticize your work unless it's pointless. Then you can try and ignore it. But I think criticism is really good for our work unless it's malicious. If it's not, if it's coming from a point of if it's someone who wants you to improve and like genuinely wants to see your writing better, and how they have an opinion on how, or an advice on how you could do that, I think it's a good thing. Yeah. So I think mostly it's encouraging. Uh,
Mm.
it's not as discouraging because you know what you got into when you decided you want to write and share your work with the rest of the world. It's a big world.
And it's a big, beautiful world. Anyway, Munira, thanks very much for coming on the show. I feel like you've not exhausted this conversation, and like I promised Unia, I think we'll have you back here in another setting so that you can talk more about your books. And I want to keep you here for a moment so that you tell people whether what I'm saying is true or false. If you want to find Munira's book, there's a small text going down on your screen. You can call Writers Guild Kenya or go to the website and buy it from there, and they'll deliver it to your doorstep. Munira always writes very interesting stories, and I believe together with Scholar, they have joined hands to say that chapatis are overrated. I don't know whether. Do you believe chapatis are overrated? No, let me not put you on the spot with that.
No,
Um,
I don't care for chapatis, but I know avocados are overrated.
what? No, 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 no. You can get chapatis, but not avocado. What?
Come and beat me.
What's wrong with you? I'm actually wait. Nikikuja curfew itanipata. But you should be interested. Okay, we can all agree that things like now this is going to be very 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 much troublesome. There are things that are not food. Like I don't know how to say this and still have a show next week, but No, let's just say some types of beans are not food. Because I really need to
Yeah.
have a show next week. And I might, no, don't mention jahe here. I will,
Okay.
okay, I already mentioned.
I unmentioned it.
But unmentioned. But avocados. I'm going to call the CID. Anyway, so you can call Writers Guild Kenya and also follow Munira if you want to have stories about how avocados are overrated, because that's not true. She's on Facebook as Munira Hussein.
Mm.
Are you on Twitter so that I can
I
send KOT your
am.
way?
I am
What's your
on.
handle?
I am not there for KOT to come for me, but if you're not KOT, you can follow me at Munira Hussein too.
And you're also on
So I
Instagram,
am.
right?
Yes, I am Munira
Yes.
Hussein across all platforms. So the Instagram handle is Munira underscore A underscore Hussein. I think.
Okay, just search Munira Hussein if you can't put all
It's
underscores.
fine.
But Munira underscore ni kale kadash kana kwanga kamekaa pale chini kamelala. You know.
Ni dash
Eh,
lakini haitaki kuonekana.
yes, inajificha kule chini. Anyway, so those are her handles. You can follow her and you'll find more amazing stories. Munira, you have some more work coming out. I know. I'm not going to tell people what work, but yes, you can also look out on those channels. She'll be telling us about her other work. And please buy her book. And after you've bought her book, recommend more people to buy her books. The titles are on your screen right now. Unfit for Society is her first book. It's a collection of short stories. A Cover of Darkness is a collection of poems. And both books, get it from me. I never recommend bad things, including avocados. They are very good. And also, these two books are phenomenal. These two books are some of my best. So go there, buy them, and let's also build our own Kenyan talent as much as we can. Now, thank you very much, Munira. I'm going to take you to the back because I'm coming there. Utaniambia vile avocados out overrated.
Okay.
That cannot happen. And in fact, before you go, somebody is saying there should be a part 2 of this. But of course, there will be a part 2 of this. Anyways, so thank you very much, Munira. Now, everyone else, next week we'll be having a very much amazing show about sadness, trauma, and recovery. Now, this tells you that I'm Munira Uni. I'm going to call you. I should have you back on the show. We are going to talk about sad things. We are going to have a very amazing show next week. And for all those who have watched, thank you very much. It's been a lovely show. It's been interesting having you. Keep it Writers Guild Kenya. Keep it here. If you have forgotten what I said that Writers Guild is running a class on Write Your Passion. Join, subscribe, get taught on how to write, because we need to teach ourselves about how to tell our stories in our own way. I've been your host, the handsome one, Douglas Logedi Luhangala, the penguin himself. I'm the author of Chasing a Bullet. You can also reach Writers Guild if you want a copy of that. One day, one of these fine days, somebody is also going to host me and I'll tell you about Chasing a Bullet. Adios. Mukone ulai. I don't know how they say good night where you come from, but say to yourself good night the way you say it from where you come from. And I will see you guys next week at 7 p.m. right here. Good night.